I live and operate with intention. Friends, clarity is cute, but intention is power, okay? Today we're talking about what it really means to mean it, right? With your words, with your work, and with your walk. Are you ready? Get set. Let's grow. Welcome to From the Ground to the Crown, a podcast community where we grow with intention, elevate our mindset, and step into the highest version of ourselves unapologetically. I'm your host, your girl, Kenesha B. And as always, I'm hella grateful that you're here with me. If you're joining me for the first time, hey friend. And if you're coming back for another round, I'm so grateful for you. Okay, y'all. Our podcast community is growing. I am always so filled with, I don't know what's higher than gratitude, but I'm filled with that too. So thank you for subscribing and tuning in weekly. Today's episode is about intentional. And the card of the day, the affirmation of the day is, I live and operate with intention. The card says, there is no true progress without intention. Actively tap into being intentional, friend, and watch the difference it makes in every part of your life. Speaking of intentional, I've been in Vietnam for the past few weeks, and this trip has been extended out of our control right now. We're currently waiting on visas here so that we can go back to Thailand. Long story short, I have been saying that I did not have the affirmation cards, but I'm so much more intentional than that, friend. And so I found them, of course. I said to myself when I was still home in Thailand, let me bring the cards with me just in case, because you just never know, right? Somebody might need to pick a card. I might need them to record these podcast episodes. And of course, I had them packed, but I just wasn't looking in the right place. Long story short, I got the card. The deck is here with me. And so, yeah, we're vibing from here on out. But I just wanted to say that because it is a testament to how intentional I am in life. And sometimes I even forget because intentionality for me is subconscious programming at this point. I have lived on purpose and deliberately for so many years now that I don't even know that I have my own back most of the time, but I do. And after listening to this episode, I hope that it helps you to grow, to be more intentional in your life too. Okay. So the story that I wanted to share today about intention stems from a previous relationship that I was in for a few years. And in those years, I honestly got dragged, y'all. I got dragged by spirit. I got dragged by my ex. I got dragged by my damn self, honestly. And it was such a tough time for me because I was living what I thought was the life of my dreams. And the entire time I was not being intentional with my words or with my actions. I was more angry and depressed than anything. And I know that is why things turned out the way they did. So at the end of this relationship, I had gotten cheated on and it was very, very tough for me to deal with. But I made it and I went to therapy for it. And for many other things. But in the therapy sessions, I had an epiphany. And working with my therapist, she had me do an activity that made me reflect on decisions that I've made in that relationship where I knew I didn't do my best. And that activity was single-handedly one of the most powerful things I've ever done. Because she charged me to make a list of things and experiences where, like I said, I feel like I could have done better, and then to share that. And so after the breakup, months later, I ended up hitting up my ex, and we sat down for a conversation where I literally apologized to him, the cheater. I apologized to him for the things that I could have done better, the areas that I wasn't being intentional, that I knew I had done something like out of spite or out of anger or just outside of my true nature, you know? And I was able to walk away from that conversation so much lighter, with so much pride in myself for being such a mature person, you know, and for really just lightening the load that I was carrying so that I could move with more intention moving forward. And I'll tell you, the experience that caused me to talk to my therapist about this was when my ex told me that he had resented me for, like, he was just following my lead and I didn't have any direction. So I was just doing things and he resented that experience. And that really was shocking for me because I'd never had someone tell me that they resented me. And it didn't feel good. I didn't like that shit. It was like, ugh, you know, there was so much regret there. And I could see how I had caused that. And so, like I said, went to therapy, did the work, had the experience, apologized. And every relationship that I've had after that one has been filled with such intentionality. Just deliberately, this is what I say, this is what I mean, this is what I'm asking, this is how I'm moving. And not just in those relationships, but in my work, in my like, you know, friendships, in everything that I do, I carry such intention because I want people to not be confused by me. I want them to be clear around me because I enjoy clarity. And I say all that to say, there will be moments where you can't control people's confusion. People be peopling, as I always say, right? So you can't control what they do or how they respond. But what you can control is what you meant by what you said and what you did and how you moved. And the ism for today's episode is, if it ain't on purpose, it's off path, friend. Okay? Because if you're not doing something to be doing it for the purpose that you're doing it, then why the hell are you doing it? It doesn't make any sense. So think about that as we journey through intention. Now let's get to the root and rise segment of the podcast. And this segment is where we take a thought that once had us stuck, dig deep into the root of it, and elevate it to a crowned perspective. This is one of my favorite things, actually. Okay, so I offer you some questions and some thoughts to ponder on as we go through the root. The root for being intentional, and the questions that I want us to think about today are, how has a lack of intention affected your relationships, your career, and your spiritual practice? Sometimes we're just showing up. Especially when you're in survival mode, you're just trying to exist and to live. Thriving, being intentional, being deliberate is not at the forefront of your mind. But if you are not moving with intention, then you are detouring yourself to somewhere where I'm sure you don't want to end up. And so when you look at areas of your life, like your relationships, your career, and your spiritual practice, how can you point out where you lack intention there? How can you define it more clearly so that your life is not confused by you? So that the energy around you is not one of confusion, but one of clarity and peace. The next question is, what beliefs and fears have kept you from being deliberate with your words, energy, and boundaries? Damn. So this makes me think about, and I shared this experience on a podcast episode previously, where my family, after my grandma died, it happens in all types of families, but it just didn't end well, right? People were fighting. It was a lot going on. And my grandma charged me with helping her with her will. And because I knew that there was going to be an uproar about this will, I ended up recording the conversation. And that saved my ass, okay? Because when people thought that I was being dishonest, I, hit him with intention. Yeah, this is what it really was. This is what she said. And you can hear her say it. And that cut all of the ties to things that people thought I had done. Because I moved with intention. And I wasn't going to do it because I was afraid. But I believed that things would go left. And I was so happy that I recorded that conversation after the fact. Because again, being deliberate and purposeful cuts out the confusion and creates clarity and peace for everyone. And although it didn't bring peace to everybody, it brought peace to your girl. Because I did not have to answer any more ridiculous questions about what people assumed that I had done or assumed how I had moved. It was nothing but clarity for everyone to hear. I love it. And so think about that. What beliefs and fears have kept you from being deliberate with your words, your energy, and your boundaries? And then the last question is, have you agreed to something that you knew wasn't aligned? And why did you say yes? I talk to a lot of my friends, and sometimes they do things, and it leaves me just wondering, what the hell? What is going on? Like, why would you do that? And sometimes they have answers that, like help to clarify for me, but sometimes I still don't get it. And I stopped doing things that don't align a long time ago because it brought me no peace. And if you look at your life and maybe today look at something that you might have agreed to, like a date or a trip or a job offer or even a meal that just didn't sit right with you, it didn't align with you, it just didn't make you feel good. Ask yourself, why the hell would you do that? Why would you say yes to anything that doesn't align with you? And once you get to the bottom of that nugget, it will uproot the fears and the limiting beliefs and the outdated notions that keep you in a space of not being intentional in your life. The whole point of intentionality is clarity and purpose and being purposeful. So let me say that again. The whole point of being intentional in life is to invite clarity, peace, and purpose into your world. And then that kind of spreads into the world of the people around you and the spaces that you're in. One of the things that I really enjoy that helped me to be intentional two of the things that I really enjoy that helps me to be intentional are numerology and astrology. And I'm inviting these concepts more into the podcast episode because they are part of my daily life. They are things that I truly believe in and live by and experience. And, it really helps to sum up what the hell is going on in this world. Because again, we are all just energetic beings floating on a spinning ball in space. Okay. And there is no rhyme or reason to this all. So these tools help me to just really ground myself into intentionality. So let's bring in a little spiritual science for a second. When it comes to numerology, the number 1 is the OG of intentionality. Okay. So if you look up and research the number 1, it is tied to being the leader, the initiator, this is what I came to do number. Okay, it lets you know why you're here. And so if you see things like 111, 1111, 101, this might be the universe's way of trying to speak to you and remind you to be clear, to be bold, and be intentional. You can look it up and see what it means for you. And if you have this numerology in your chart, maybe you were born on the 1st or the 11th or, any of these things, I would encourage you to examine how numerology shows up and how the signs are pointing and reminding you of how to move with intention in this world. And then let's talk about astrology. So the sign of Virgo, this sign is basically like the high priestess of intention. All about order, alignment, and purpose. If you know a Virgo, Virgos don't play, okay? They are the Beyoncés and the Michael Jacksons of this world. Super intentional about everything they do to the T with precision and like expert level mastery. If you have Virgo placements, or if you're looking to invite in more like order and purpose and alignment, lean into structure and thoughtful planning like a Virgo does. And other signs that really hone in on intentionality are fire signs like Aries, Leo, and Sag. The intentionality with us slows us down just enough to keep our fire focused, because fire signs are always like up, 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 up. There's so much to do. There's so much passion. There's so much brightness there. But the intentionality and being intentional slows us down enough to think about things and to add another layer as to why we're burning this light so brightly. And then when it comes to water signs, intentions for water signs, being intentional will ground the flow of water so it's not like running into emotional flooding. Water signs have a lot of emotion to them. And so if you are a water sign or have water sign placements, you might want to invite intention into your life so that your emotions can flow deliberately in the areas that you want them to flow, and it's not exhausting you. Now, I'm not an astrologist and I'm not a numerologist, but I do study these things and I do enjoy learning about them. So I would encourage you to do your own research. Go ahead and head to YouTube University, okay, and Google College, and you can literally input your specific birth chart or look up your natal chart and figure out where in your chart you can be more informed as to where you can be more intentional and purposeful in your life. Okay, y'all. So that was really getting to the root of our numerology, getting to the root of our astrology and our actions, and why we need to be more intentional. So now let's shift into the rise part of this episode so that we can learn and understand, maybe with some rituals, some body language cues, and even just how we're speaking and showing up and things that we can do daily to be more intentional. One of the things that I really enjoy is self-reflection and talking to myself. Maybe trying to start your day with, what are my intentions for today? And then saying to yourself, my intention for today is, and filling in the blank, not just with random words, right? With things that actually feel true to you. My intention for today is to spread a little more love. And then finding ways to show up with that intention. Small things like this daily are like muscles, and they teach your spirit, they teach your brain how to be more intentional. And it doesn't have to be gigantic intention. It just has to be small. One of my favorite things to say is minor moves make major impact. And so if you do this for 300 days, pretty soon, you're just going to be moving with intention because that is what you do. Try doing it for 3, 4, 5 years. It'll become such a habit. Like I said, subconscious programming for me. It just runs naturally. And so let's get to the questions of today's Rise segment. The first one is, what outcome do you truly want? And have you been clear about it with yourself and others? So for example, if one of your intentions and one of your outcomes is to travel more, stop accepting invitations to do other things outside of travel. No, you don't want to do anything else. The intention is to travel. No, you can't spend your money frivolously because you're saving it for travel. And then you're communicating to people. And yes, they may not understand, and they may be confused, and they may not get it, but you understand what you're doing, and that is all that matters. And you're taking deliberate steps to live in that intention to get that outcome. And so ask yourself, what is one outcome that you truly want, that feels good to you? And how can you be clear about it and communicate it with yourself and with other people? The second question is, what do you want your energy to communicate before you even say a word? Let me tell y'all, when I say people are so clear about me, they know within seconds, I think, or minutes probably, but definitely within the day, whether they like me or not. I love that for me because I spent so many years around people who I didn't know whether they liked me or not. And they didn't. Because if you are confused on whether you like me or not, chances are you probably don't like me. And that's fine. I am an acquired taste. I am not everybody's cup of tea, and I damn sure am not trying to be. Okay? So when you meet me, My energy communicates clarity. I am very on it. I'm honest. I have integrity. And when I speak, I want people to understand that. One of the other things that I have a habit of doing is pausing before I say things. Like I'll be having a conversation and you might see me look off for a second and I might stop and look up because I don't want to communicate things that I'm not trying to say. So even when I'm having fun and light conversations, and especially when I'm having heavier and tougher conversations, I will pause. And if I say something that I didn't mean to say, you'll hear me say, I lied. That's not what I wanted. Or I lied. That's not what I meant to say. And I'll take it back. I'll renege so quickly because I don't want you to think or hear something that is not what I'm trying to communicate. And so don't be afraid to do things like that. Don't be afraid to clarify your energy before you even say a word. Sometimes that looks like you having to talk to yourself outside or talk to yourself in the car before you get somewhere. And ask yourself, how do I want to show up in there? What do I want to communicate today without having to say it? If it's confidence, you walk in with your head held high. If it's you just need a little time to yourself, maybe you sit separately from people, whatever it is that you're trying to communicate. Ask yourself, how can you do that without saying a word? And then be intentional. That's the part, Okay. And then the third thing is, what tools, spiritual or practical, can you start using to be more deliberate in how you move? Like I said, you got numerology, you've got astrology, but you also have things like breath work and meditation and yoga practices, mindful practices that help you to gain more clarity within your mind so that you're not out here confusing the world. When you are more clear, when you have and own your clarity, you move with more intention because you're not confused as to what the hell you're doing. You know. Like, I knew I was going to move internationally, and everything about my life leading up to this was geared toward that. I was intentional about the people that I was around. I'm intentional about the energy that I take in, intentional about the videos that I watch and the conversations that I was having, because I didn't want fear to cloud the judgment and the intention that I had. So if I talk to you about moving abroad and you had something negative to say, that probably is going to be the last time we either had a conversation about me moving or the last time we had a conversation about anything. I don't want to invite I don't look to invite confusion in my life. And so when I'm moving with intention, sometimes that looks like having boundaries around the people that I'm around and the conversations that I'm having so that they're not giving me their confusing ass energy. And when you start to understand the tools that you will use to be more deliberate in your life, some of those tools look like cutting people off, unfollowing, unfriending, and damn near blocking people. If it's not on purpose, it's off path. Do not let people take you off path because you will have to be accountable for the detour, not them. Beautiful friends, intentionality and clarity bring peace. If it's outside of that, you're going to be confused. Everybody's going to be confused. And what I've learned in this world is that where there is confusion, there's going to be a whole lot of mess. And you're going to get dragged in ways that you do not want in your life. And so although it might be a challenge to invite in more intention into your life, I encourage you to try to figure it out. What do you have to lose? What does being more intentional is not going to be to your detriment ever. So try it. Try to use different tools. Try to have different conversations. Try to sit with yourself more often and ask yourself daily, what is my intention for today? And I challenge you that when you have a new decision to make, your very next decision that you'll have to make, whether it's big or small, ask yourself, what is my intention here? And like I said, I'm encouraging you to do some daily intention setting. If you need some resources on how to do so, hit me up in the DMs or message me under this episode so that I can share those for you. Because even if it's just how you want to feel or show up, it is important to do so with purpose and being deliberate in that. Remember the affirmation. I live and operate with intention. Don't just say it, but speak it, embody it, and believe it until it's true. That is it for this episode, y'all. I'm so grateful again that you guys are rocking and rolling with me. And I want to say, periodically, reoccurringly, I have my listeners and my followers choose the episodes of the podcast. And so if you want to help shape future episodes, I would encourage you to join my Instagram broadcast channel. I post polls in there. I share behind the scenes and just sneak peeks into what I'll be discussing next. So I would love your help in choosing the next 4 podcast episodes. If you want to join the community, DM the word join or comment the word join under this episode, and I will send you a link so that you can directly join me on Instagram. Like I said, I do this regular because I want people to be engaged in what they want to hear. And I want to speak on things that you actually truly want to know more about. So if that resonates with you, like I said, just comment the word join and I got you. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode if it hit. We all deserve to be more intentional in this world, and we all deserve to share that intention with other people so we could just have clarity here. Because what? If it ain't on purpose, it's off path. Period. All right, y'all. DM me your biggest takeaway from today. Tag me in it if you post this on social media. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Threads at It's Kenesha B and To The Crown Pod. That's number 2, The Crown Pod. Thank you. And stay tuned for more next week. Are you ready? Get set. Let's grow.